Welcome to the SEO.co Search Engine Optimization Podcast. Digital marketing essentials and next-level tactics. From off-site and on-site optimization to persuasive selling and everything in between. You'll learn actionable tips on what it takes to outright and outrank your competition.
SEO 101, an SEO beginner's guide to on-site and off-site SEO. The goal of SEO is to increase your search visibility, which in turn will increase your site traffic. Google ranks sites based on a combination of two broad categories: relevance and authority. Relevance is how closely the content of a page is going to meet a user's needs and expectations. Domain authority is a measure of how trustworthy or authoritative the source of the content is. Your SEO tactics will usually involve building your authority, increasing your relevance for targeted queries, or both, across three main areas of optimization. On-site optimization. On-site optimization is the process of making your site more visible, more authoritative, and easier for Google's web crawlers to parse and understand. Many of these tweaks and strategies involve technical changes to your site, including adjustments to your backend code and other structural site changes. Ongoing content marketing. Content marketing is the best way to build your authority and relevance on-site over time. You'll have the chance to choose topics and optimize for keyword phrases your target audience will use, and simultaneously create content that proves your authoritativeness on the subject. Off-site optimization. Off-page optimization is a collection of tactics designed to promote your on-site content and improve your authority by building links yourself or hiring a link building service to build them for you. The quantity and quality of links pointing to your site have a direct influence on how much authority your site is perceived to have. Technical SEO for beginners. Don't worry, I'm going to make this as painless as possible. In this section, I'm going to cover most of the technical SEO elements that you'll need to consider for your campaign. These are changes you'll need to make to your site, factors you'll need to consider or monitor, and potential technical issues that could come up during your campaign. I'm going to cover these as simply and as thoroughly as possible, so you can understand them and use them, no matter how much technical experience you have. Search indexing. When you go to a library for information, librarians can probably help you by finding a book. But no matter how relevant a book may be to your interests, it won't matter if the book isn't currently on the shelves. Libraries must acquire books as they're released, updating old copies and adding new copies, to keep the most recent information on the shelves. Search indexing works similarly. To provide results, Google needs to maintain shelves of books, in this case, a running archive of websites and pages that are available on the web. Google uses automated bots, sometimes known as crawlers or spiders, to continually search the web for new page entries, which it then logs in its central system. How is this relevant for you? If you want to be listed in search engines and be listed accurately, you need to make sure your site is indexed correctly. There are three main approaches you can take for search indexing. Passive. The first approach is the easiest, and probably the best for SEO newcomers. Google wants to keep the books on its shelves updated, so it makes an effort to crawl sites completely on its own. In the passive approach, you'll simply wait for Google to index your site, and trust its best judgment when it comes to canonicalizing and optimizing your URL structures. For this method, you don't have to do anything. You simply pass the reins to Google and let it take care of the indexing work. The only potential disadvantage here, other than forfeiting some degree of control, is that it sometimes takes more time for Google to update its index, up to a few weeks for new sites and new material. Active. The active approach allows you to update the URL structures and hierarchies on your site using an on-site sitemap. Known as an HTML sitemap, this is easy to create. Create a page called Sitemap, and list all the pages on your site you want Google to index, separated into categories and subcategories as appropriate, to provide hints to bots as to how your links interact with one another. You should also include descriptions to identify what each link is used for. This doesn't guarantee indexation but can help clarify confusion and speed up the indexing process. The major disadvantage here is that you'll need to adjust it every time you make changes to your site unless you use an automatic sitemap solution that updates itself any time you publish new pages. There are WordPress plugins that offer this functionality. A clean, effective sitemap is critical to optimizing on-page and on-site SEO, direct. In the direct route, you'll create an XML sitemap, which is different from an HTML sitemap. It's essentially a text file that contains a list of your site's URLs, with descriptions that inform search engines how to consider and index your links, in relation to one another. Once done, you'll upload it directly to Google. This is a fair bit more complex than an HTML sitemap but is manageable if you take the time to read Google's instructions properly. This isn't necessary but could be useful in speeding up the initial indexing process and clarifying canonical confusion. You'll also need to consider creating a robots.txt file for your site, which is essentially an instruction manual that tells Google's web crawlers what to look at on your site. You can create this file using Notepad, or any program on your computer that allows you to create TXT files, even if you have no coding experience. On the first line, you'll specify an agent by typing user agent ______, filling in the blank with a bot name or using an asterisk symbol to specify all bots. Then, on each successive line, you can type allow or disallow, followed by specific URLs to instruct bots which pages should or should not be indexed. There are various reasons why you wouldn't want a bot to index a page on your site, which I'll get into later. However, you may want bots to index all pages of your site by default. If this is the case, you do not need a robots.txt file. For example, if and when your robots.txt file is ready, you can upload it to your site's root directory like any other file. Site speed. Improving website speed for SEO has been an oft-repeated topic in digital marketing, as its importance has been somewhat overblown. The loading time of your web pages won't make or break your rankings. Reducing your load time by a second won't magically boost a low-authority site to the top rank. However, site speed is still an important consideration, both for your domain authority and for the user experience of your site. Google rewards sites that provide content faster, as it is conducive to a better overall user experience, but it only penalizes about 1% of sites for having insufficient speed. When it comes to user experience, every 1 second in improved site speed is shown to be correlated with a 2% increase in conversions. In short, whether you're after higher rankings or more conversions, it's a good idea to improve your site speed. You can check your speed using a site like Google's own Page Speed Insights, and start improving your site with the following strategies. Use a good caching plugin. Your first job is to make sure there's a good caching plugin on your site. You only need one, and unless you have technical experience and unique needs, it's best to leave your plugin unaltered. The caching plugin allows users to store certain pieces of information about your site on their respective browsers. This won't do much for first-time visitors, but repeat visitors will be able to load your site much more quickly. Limit the number of plugins you use. Your caching plugin is a must, and you'll need a handful of other plugins, but try to limit the number of plugins you have on your site. Every additional plugin will represent an increase in the amount of time it takes users to load your site. Compress what you can. You can use an automated compression program like gzip to reduce the size of the files on your site, so they load faster. It's not an intensive process but can shave a few milliseconds off your page loading times. Limit your redirects. Redirects are sometimes essential for correcting site indexing errors and other issues, and I'll talk about redirects in more detail later on, but only use them if you know what you're doing. Every new redirect you create is another piece of information that can bog down the speed of your site. Consider your server choice. Your choice of server can also have a bearing on your website loading speed. Most modern servers are adequate, especially big-name servers, like those provided by WordPress or GoDaddy. However, choosing an inferior, low-cost server could have a negative impact on your average loading speed. A dedicated server may be worth the investment if site speed is a big priority for you. In any case, once you've made a decision, your server won't need much ongoing technical maintenance. Optimize your images. Images are some of the biggest content files you'll have on your site, so you'll need to make sure they're optimized to provide the fastest possible site speed. You can optimize images by making sure they're in the proper format, and by reducing their size as much as possible before uploading them. This isn't a technically demanding process. In fact, there are many free image resizing tools available online, including PicResize. Clear unnecessary site data. Do you have a bunch of old content drafts for your blog that hasn't been published? Get rid of them. Every piece of information on your site that doesn't have a relevant purpose should be cleared. Consider a content delivery network. A content delivery network is an automatic service you can sign up for that allows you to serve, or distribute, your site content from multiple different locations simultaneously, rather than from one central server. It's an additional investment, but doesn't require any technical knowledge, and could help you achieve a faster loading time if you're struggling to hit your goals with other tactics.
Thank you for joining us on the SEO.co podcast. We appreciate your time. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and visit SEO.co for more resources based on today's topic, as well as access to more podcast episodes to help you improve your site's long-term SEO success.